Hello, welcome to my shop. This is Hammer Down Woodworking. I'm Tracy Maxfield, and today we're going to do a walk around the shop tour. We're going to start out here at the table saw. This is where most all of your projects will begin. I have two table saws. If you can see the other one sitting in the background, we'll get to it in a minute. This one is a 10-inch Delta contractor saw. It runs on 120 volt, 10-inch blade. It also has a 3.5-inch cutting depth when you're on a 90. If you cut at a 45, I think it's something like 2.5 inches. Also has a 2.5-inch dust port out the back. I don't know if you can see that or not. Probably not, for all the stuff that's piled in the way. But it also has a T-square 3 points of contact fence, and this is a good fence for a cheaper grade saw. This one's sold at Lowe's. I'm not sponsored by Lowe's or anything, not sponsored by Delta either, but this is a good saw. It has a 30.5-inch cut on the right, and then on the left it has a 15.5-inch cut. It's cast iron. It's a good saw. I've had this one for a little over a year and have had absolutely no issues out of it at all. Next to the table saw is my workbench. And next to the table saw, this is the place that you will spend the most of your work time. This one is a little over 7 feet long. And if you notice all the holes in it, that is for dogs to clamp work against. I have one clamp on it, which is an old Craftsman. And these square hose that I put in it, I can depend upon the length of a board. If I need to work on the flat surface, I can lay it down on the table, butt up against that block of wood, raise this dog, and clamp that bench into the end of that board and plane or carve whatever I need to do to that piece of wood. In this end of it, I have a mounted router table. I have a chamfer bit in it right now. That's what this one gets used the most for. Underneath it, I have lumber storage. Also have power hook up to it. And I set my trash can under this end of it. On the back side of it, I have my dust collection hose, which we'll get to that in a minute, but it is mounted to the back side of this bench. And I don't know if you can see this, but there's a roll of construction paper right in under that dust collection line, that PVC line. That is mounted to where I can just pull that out and drag it across the table, pull out what I need, cut it off, and cover the whole table with it. If I'm staining or painting, for any reason that I would need to cover up the top of this table, I can do it with it just pulling off some of that construction paper and cutting it off. Also, on the end of both ends, I have these wooden ears that stick out. The purpose of them is if I'm clamping a long piece, say I'm going to be planing on a long piece of lumber, to put it in here, if I've got more of the board extended out that way than I do this way, it's going to want to rack, and I can rest the board on that, or from this end I can rest it on that one. and that helps support the lumber, takes some of the give out of it, and makes for a lot better job. And those are just placed on with a hinge, just a regular door hinge, and they fold back out of the way, kind of like an extra set of hands. On this side, mounted on this end of the bench, I have my dust collection remote. I can take this with me to whatever tool I'm using and turn the dust collection on and off at that tool. And it always gets placed back here when I'm done with it, and that way I know where it's at. And on the other side of the table saw, I have my clamp rack. I have Irwin, Bessie, and Jet clamps all, and then some older ones in the back. And if you see how I've got them placed back in behind, it is a little bit of an inconvenience having to reach and get those out, but it's not real bad. The only thing that I don't like about my clamp rack being where it is if you notice behind, I have a dust port that comes down, and at the bottom there's a floor sweep right against the floor. You can see it right down there. I can sweep sawdust or anything that I want to into that with that on, and it will take it to the collection bin. And with those long clamps hanging down there, I can't hardly use that right now. I have to move clamps in order to be able to sweep to that. This piece sitting on top of this is a downdraft vacuum. I hooked that up on a vacuum, and I can sand small parts on that with a random orbital sander, and it will suck that sawdust down into the dust collection. I have some jigs sitting in the corner. That's another video. On top of this, I have, if you can see all this, I have straight edge, T-square tracks, guide tracks for my skill saw. I have some levels up here. This is a fence for the router table that is in the workbench. Also have some hand saws, my apron, C-clamps, and also some spring clamps of different sizes. Over on this wall in the corner, I have all my hardware that I use for different stuff. Screws, bolts, nuts, and in the top is just various items like solder and PVC tape, flux, things of that nature. And this table, I hate to show it to you, but it is a mess. This is actually supposed to be my workspace to where I can sit down at this chair and work on drawing up plans and designs and stuff for builds. It catches all my clutter. Paint stains, cups for mixing chemicals, bowls for washing out brushes or using stains. But that is my mess. Down and under, I have my air compressor. It's I think it's 3 gallon, 135 psi. I use that to, if I just need to blow sawdust off of something, or if I need to run a nail gun. That's plenty big enough air compressor for right now. It would not supply a paint gun, but it will do everything else I need besides run a paint gun. Also have 2 machine vices on top of this bench. I placed this big one in this corner over here because it is very, very seldom used, and I have a smaller one right here. This one gets used a lot. The other one would get used a lot too if it was here. And the reason why it is not here is because of this benchtop drill press. The height of that vise sticks up higher than the platform of this drill press, and I can't run anything off. I've already got, by this bandsaw, I've already got that end blocked, so I have to be able to run everything to the right. And speaking of this drill press, this is a benchtop. It's a small one. It's a test right. I think it's something like a 1/2 horse, 3-speed, and it's a good little drill press. Works, runs, operates, everything just fine. On the wall behind, back up to where you can see, let's just start and go right to left. I have my squares, framing squares, two different types of staplers, and of course this is just supplies setting in the way. This is a dowel maker. That's a dowel. That's a center finder. I built that. I'll do another video sometime or another maybe on that. My hollow chisel mortise bits is up here, and this rack, which has a little bit of shock absorb, when you set something heavy down on it, it will bounce, but now it is plenty stout enough to hold that. I have my hand planes. This one right here is made for trim. This is a shoulder plane, 2 block planes, 2 number 4s, a spoke and shave, and then my number 7 has its own rack. Up here is all my rasp and files, and of course paper towels. You gotta have those. Here is my workhorse chisels and other parts, and here is my carving chisels for making mortises and whatever else they're need for, and they are super sharp. I have my card scrapers, and in behind that is also feeler gauge. There's my compasses. This is a protractor, a caliper, and a mortise gauge, mortise gauge. Safety glasses, flush cut saws. This is a machinist square. It is very square, which we'll do a video sometime or another on squares too. These are decent squares for carpentry work, where your cuts does not have to be so precise, but they get wore over time, and you have to quit using those and go to one like this that is solid. We'll cover that in another video sometimes. Of course, speed squares and bevel gauges. These right here are a must too. I use those all the time. They're scissors and nippers for cutting off pieces of material to use to wipe a piece of cloth or wipe a stain down. This I use to cut thin strips of wood with. Of course, I got some lights back there too that I can just place wherever I need them when I need extra light. And also a dust collection port, and I'll cover that in either toward the end of this video or in another video. Behind the drill press is bits, and also more bits, and more bits, and more bits, and down here even more bits. Those are Forstner bits, and I go from a 1/4 inch to a 2 inch in sizes on those. And next to the drill press, the benchtop drill press, is a old Skill 10-inch bandsaw, and the 10 inches comes from here to here. It's not here. This has got like a 4-inch height, something like that, 4-inch blade height that you can shove 4 inches of work through the throat of this. Has miter tracks, miter gauge. It's unplugged right now, but it does work. Next to it, I'll get to where that light is not so bad. This is my scroll saw. It is a Craftsman. I got this about 2, maybe 3 years ago. When I first got it, I messed around with it quite a bit and haven't used it until I done the last project that I done, which was the plate shelf rack. And I have a dust port right here for which supplies it, the scroll saw, and this bandsaw. And coming on across, I have my chargers for my drills, my hand drills, and a junk collection pile, and then a 6-inch benchtop bench grinder. I've had that for a long time too. I don't even know what horsepower that is. Don't know if it says. I don't see it. But anyway. And next to it is my dust collection system. That will be another video. I have the Dust Deputy 55-gallon drum and a 6.5 horsepower shop vac, and I'll go over how I hook that up and how it works, and any recommendations that I may have on putting one in your sale. And here's an overview of what you have already saw so far, starting with the shop vac, going down that bench. Sorry about the light through that window. My work wall, all the way back around to the table saw and this workbench. And in between the workbench and this bench, it's about 5 foot wide, and from that wall to where I'm standing is roughly around 17, 18 feet total. Not a big space, but I make it work. And behind me is my radial arm saw that sits in the same corner next to my vacuum system. You see the bench grinder coming around. This is a 10-inch radial arm saw, and I made the top for that just probably, I don't know, 6 months ago, because they will get worn, cut up, and you have to keep replacing those all the time. This one's a 2.5 horsepower. It's an old saw, but it will still run, and these things are dangerous. When you pull that across a piece of wood, if you've got your hand in the way of it, you will drag that blade across your nubs, your fingers, and make nubs out of them real quick. So if you have one of these, or you plan on getting one of these, think before you cut every single time, because those are dangerous. Very, very dangerous. This blade, this mechanism here will allow this to spin. Pull it back around just a little bit. It will allow it to spin this way in any angle. You can move this arm to change the angle of that blade. It will also flip this way to where this blade is laying flat down, and of course then it will shift in any angle. You can get any angle cut out of that saw that you want, and it has dust collection to it also. And I know I mentioned dust collection a lot, but if you've ever worked in a workshop, wood shop, dust collection is very, very important. But that saw is dangerous. Use extreme caution when you use it. And under that radial arm saw, I have some miscellaneous items, one being a small Craftsman shop vac. That is very, very handy around the shop. Take out the tools, clean the top of your workbench off, whatever you need to clean off, it will do it. I have a bucket there and 3 over here. And plywood scraps, things that have glue in it, go in that one. Hardwood scraps go into that one. And pine scraps go into that one, and the one in the back starts getting whichever one of those gets full first. The reason for that is I don't smoke meat and stuff on my grill with pine, and I definitely do not do it with plywood. That gets burnt in the fire pit. That is used to smoke meats with, and that gets trashed. Never use plywood or anything that's got glue, chemicals in it to smoke food or any reason. It's just not healthy. Sitting next to the radial arm saw and at the end of the workbench is my bandsaw. This is a Rikon. It's a 14-inch with a 13-inch resaw capacity, meaning this will come up and I can put a piece of wood 13 inches high through this, and it has a 14-inch throat on it. It also has a fence. I've put a work light on it. I can't run that while I'm filming. You see the difference in it, but that helps keep me on my mark. Right now I have a 3/4 inch resaw blade in it. You can't turn sharp radiuses with that the way that you can. Hope this doesn't make everybody seasick. The way that you can with that narrow of a blade. But I have a 3/8 inch in the future plans. I've had that bandsaw since probably last November, December, and absolutely love it. Rikon went to great extremes making that bandsaw, and it works good, works great, no issues at all. And on the back again we have dust collection. That's what the inside of it looks like, and also the bottom part. It takes a 111-inch blade, and I've put plywood walls in the bottom of that cart and made storage for that, for the bandsaw. And moving right along, I have a shopmate table. It's a clamp table. It sets up real quick and easy. That sets down in between those two because I actually have no other place to put it. And when I need it, I can get it, and it's out of my way right there. This is my lathe. It is I think it's 18-inch. Don't remember what horsepower it is, but it is a Delta. I've had this lathe since last December. I got this actually for Christmas. I built this table that it's sitting on and bolted it down, and these drawers contain my sandpapers and tools for cutting or for sanding, and this side houses my cutting tools, my lathe tools, and of course mask and stuff for breathing, because a lathe will put off a lot of chips, and when you're sanding there is a lot of fine dust in the air. And if you look inside, you have different pulleys. You can change that belt to those speeds. It will go from 250 RPMs up to 4,000 RPMs. And it's a great little lathe. There's a bed extension that you can put on the end of it for turning longer pieces. I do not have that yet, but that is in my future plans also. And coming on down, I have my floor standing drill press. This is a K&F. It's a 16 speed. This is a older drill, but it is a good one. It has plenty. It's got 3/4 horsepower, where that benchtop has a 1/2 horsepower. And I haven't had anything yet that I've bogged it down on. This platform, we'll do another video sometime on it also. I'll show you how I made that and why I made it like I did. And also on the other one and on this one, I have the chuck key, just a piece of string on it and hanging right there so it never gets lost. That is the drill press. And moving right along, if you've noticed, I have the bandsaw, the lathe, and that drill press all sitting right in front of the garage door. And the reason for that is, with the bandsaw, if I need to, it sits about 3 feet from that garage door. If I'm ripping something longer than that, I can just raise the garage door and that extends my work area. And for the lathe, there's no dust collection to that, and it makes a mess. I can use vacuum to clean up in here, and anything on the other side, I can take a leaf blower and just scatter it. And the same thing for the drill press. And over here on this end, I have my miter saw, or chop saw, some people call it. This is not a sliding miter, it just chops. It does have dust collection on it, but it doesn't fit any of the ports that are over here, so I have to roll, if I'm using it indoors, I have to roll it over to that port or that one on that wall. It does work on those. If it's pretty outside, I just raise the garage door, let the dust and stuff go right out. Next to that, coming back around to the workbench, I have what I call my milling station, which has my joiner and my planer and also a belt disc sander mounted to the top of this station. These are set up to run off the opposite end of the workbench, this port, and they are bolted down to the top of this table in a way that they don't interfere with each other. This is a 6-inch Delta joiner, and when I feed my lumber through, it goes straight out over that workbench, and there's nothing interfering with it. The planer, when material is pushed through it, the joiner's not in the way and it goes straight out the back. There's nothing in behind it. And here is the outfeed for it, and it also has dust collection port on it. I do have to move this to be able to get to the disc sander on this, which is hardly ever used. It has been used and is used, but very seldom. And then the belt sander on top of it. Sitting next to it is my spindle sander. And you've got various sizes of spindles that this comes off and they'll mount on here, and you can sand small radiuses. which we'll do a video on that also sometime. This sets on a cart that is movable. Actually, almost every single thing I have in here, even that drill press, is on wheels. The bandsaw, the lathe, even those two table saws, and that radial arm saw is all on wheels to where I can roll them around as needed. But the dust collection on this doesn't fit this. So again, I have to roll that cart over to one or the other of those ports on that wall. And here's an overall of what you've seen so far. There's the clamp rack, that work wall. It kind of makes an L and comes back around this way. And there's the back of the planer and also the belt sander. This is my router table. I built this table. It has storage in it. I've got multiple routers in the bottom of it for different tasks. It has a completely adjustable fence. It will open up this way for the size blade. It will also slide forward and backwards on either end to set the fence a certain distance from your bit. And it has dust collection. Sitting next to it is this old Craftsman saw. That was this. I blame it on that. This one's kind of in need of cleaning up. But this one houses my dado stack, which is a stack of blades that will give you a wide cut for cutting dados. Actually the same thing as this miter track, only in wood. That is this saw. Here I have work lights. If I have to move anything to the driveway and it starts getting dark on me, I can stand that up, set that up, and put light where I need it. And I also have a shop fan. This one sits on a stand. I can raise the garage door, turn that on, pull fine dust or fumes right out of the garage. And then I have my toolbox, which houses all my wrenches, pliers, you name it, it's in there. Vicks bits, first one thing another. And next to that is my spare drum for my dust collection. When the other one gets full, this one goes in its place until I have a chance to empty the other one. And that is my shop. I can roll this stuff out of the way if it's raining or whatever outside, and I can use, I probably got 10 by 10, 12 by 12 maybe work area right here. I can just roll 3 items out and have room for a big assembly like a table or so on. That is pretty well it. And also this matting that I've got on the floor doesn't hinder anything from rolling on it, and it is very comfortable on your feet. And this is a shot from this angle. There's all that. And all the way back around, you can see the two table saws sitting back to back. There's a reason for that. One serves as an outfeed table for the other. They're both set at the same height. And that is pretty well it.